The Nigerian pension industry has actually gone through a lot of transformation. In the past, we had what they call the defined benefit scheme, which essentially was pay as you go. Mm-hmm. You know, the public service, the government had that scheme where its workers on retirement were paid gratuity and pension. And then there was no structured regulation of the pension industry. Mm-hmm. The pension schemes were done haphazardly. Some private companies had their pension schemes, mm-hmm. and some state government and the federal government ran the defined benefit scheme, which was based strictly on budgetary provisions. Mm-hmm. When you retire, there were calculations that were made, and if budget allows, and the cash flow allows, mm-hmm. they will pay you timely or not timely. Yes. Because it was dependent on the funds available to government at the time of your retirement. And there were so many things that were wrong with the old system, so many things. One of the biggest problems of the old system was that the burden was becoming unbearable for the government. Yeah. The requirements for the pension payment was growing in leaps and bounds, mm-hmm. and there was no savings or contributions to cushion the burden on the various governments that were paying those pensions at the time. So it got to a point the government of Obasanjo had to look at that old scheme and felt that there was a need for a reform. Okay. A need for a reform, which led to the enactment of the Pension Reform Act, mm-hmm. which introduced the Contributory Pension Scheme. Okay. And now the difference between the old scheme and this new one is that under the new scheme, both the employer and the employee make contributions towards the retirement savings fund for mm-hmm. every worker. Okay. And that reduces the burden of the federal government. As we speak, the old schemes still have huge liabilities, which both the federal and state government are still battling with. The liabilities are still there. Mm-hmm. The old scheme also was fraught with a lot of irregularities, a lot of fraud, a lot of irregularities. Yeah. There were also serious documentation issues with the old scheme. Yeah. Many of the people who retired under the old scheme had no documents, had no proper records. Like I said, I worked in the Pension Transition Arrangement Directorate, which still manages the remnants of the old scheme. Okay, I worked there for almost 3 years, and I know what I'm talking about. The problems that were inherited by that agency or government are enormous. Mm-hmm. And that's why you see that every now and then they are carrying out verification. Yes. To try calling the old men and old women to gather in different places. So
you can know that who they are paying
are still actually the real people. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you that even with those verifications, it's not foolproof. It's not 100% assured that the people you are paying are actually genuine pensioners. Yeah. Because there were no records. Mm-hmm. In Nigeria where people can generate documents from anywhere. They can generate documents from, what's the name of this place in Oluwole. People can come up with all kinds of documents and say, I retired from so, whereas in actual fact, they never retire from anywhere. Yes. Some will carry their brothers and sisters' documents and present, and you'll be paying them. Yeah. But that was the old scheme. Mm-hmm. Till today, the agency depends on budgetary provisions to pay the retirees. But that is not the case with the Contributory Pension Scheme.
Okay. All right. You said quite a lot. I want to take you, number one, two things. Help us to understand what the Contributory Pension Scheme is. Sometimes we assume everybody knows it. Define what the Contributory Pension Scheme is, moving from the past to now. What is CPS?
Okay. So now, the Contributory Pension Scheme, like I said, is, as the name suggests, is a scheme that both the worker and his employer contribute a certain percentage of their wage to. Yes. And this is built up over the work life of the employee. Yes.